Mobile 911.
Two houses up from me. Two vehicles put up 30-20.
Mobile police.
I saw commercial flashes of war or something. People that live in the house are trying to rush him to the hospital.
The family of the young man rushed him to the hospital. He was hit multiple times with the UWOP. When the detectives arrived to the scene, they learned the victim is Jamarcus, a.k.a. Mark, 18 years old. The mom stated when they spoke with her that they was watching TV, somebody let the UWOP loose in the house. They found over 20 cases on the scene. Then they get another call over the radio about 2 more people here with the UWOP. So 2 detectives leave that scene and head to the new scene. They find a male expired. He was identified as Kerry Wheat, 21 years old, father of 2 daughters. His brother Cornelius Wheat was also hit multiple times with the UWOP. They rushed him to the hospital. So while they searching the scene, they find 27 casings from 2 different UWOPs. So Detective Rogers talked to a woman on the scene. She states they were hanging out in the car. Somebody let the UWOP loose. When she raised up, she seen her baby daddy, Kerry Wheat, and his brother hit. So then detectives get a call from an informant saying the case is retaliation for the Mark incident. So they wrap up that scene, head to headquarters. A woman from the first incident comes to talk to the detective. She states everyone was watching TV. Mark started heading for the kitchen, and somebody let the UWOP loose in the house. She said it was a 9-month-old on the couch. When everything stopped, Mark's brother, Raheem, and Said ran out the house, let the UWOP go on the fleeing car. She also says Mark had no problems, but Said had issues in a dice game down in the campground neighborhood. He got into it with a guy over $5, and they both agreed when they see each other to let the UWOP loose. So later on that night, Said and Raheem was planning an attack. She also said an incident happened in the campgrounds later that night. Then Said and Raheem come back in the house with 2 UWOPs. She said a couple hours after that, their house get hit up. So detectives asked, do she know Kerry Wheat? She said yes, him and Said don't like each other. But at one point, they was cool. But Said got hit with the UWOP back in the day and felt that Wee Wee had something to do with it. So they end that interview considering Said and Raheem right now as possible suspects.
As a year ago, Said was shot and believed Kerry, also known as Wee Wee, was involved.
So the detectives look up Raheem and Said. They notice Raheem has 3 priors: possession, hitting a house, and arson. But as of now, they still don't have enough to bring him and Said in. So Detective Rogers said he spoke to someone that may have some information. So the other detective head out there to speak with him. He said a man approached him while he was in his car, said he was looking for Kerry. He stated the guy's a close friend of Jamarcus. So he get a detective the guy name. They bring him down to the interview room. He states the day of the incident, he received an erratic knock on his door. When he answered, he learned about the Mark incident. So he heads straight over Wee Wee house. The detective asks what happened. You go over Wee Wee house, an hour later, Wee Wee get hit with the UWOP. He stated Wee Wee is like his nephew. He went over there just to find out what's going on. So the detectives tell him they have 2 victims and people are putting your name in it. So then he says Raheem and Said told him when they see Wee Wee, they was going to put the UWOP on him. He also stated that said Raheem snuck up on him, put the UWOP on him. He also said Wee Wee and Mark had nothing to do with what was going on. So they end that interview. The next day, they find out Said and Raheem have parole violations. So they head over to the house to arrest them on a violation. They hit the house, snatch Raheem and Said up, take them down to the station. They start by interviewing Raheem first.
Talk to you about it, right?
Let's come not just beat them on the bush. Let's get to it.
What happened?
I don't know. Can't tell you. I don't know, bro.
So the detective tell Raheem that Mark wasn't the intended target. So who are y'all into it with? Raheem says, what you trying to say, that I have a part in this? The detective says you know what the beef is about. So he asks him, do we know Wee Wee? He states that's his little partner. Rogers tell him the streets talk. You and Wee Wee wasn't cool. Raheem turns his chair around to face the wall. They turn him back around, and Raheem says, how you gonna tell me I wasn't cool with Wee Wee? He said, I don't care about what nobody say. Then he states, I'm trying to cooperate with y'all. Then he says he's done talking. So now the detective's heading there to speak with Said. Sayed starts by asking the detective, is this about my little brother? The detective asks him what's going on. Sayed says he doesn't know. He's not into all that. He has a daughter and drives trucks most of the day. So the detective asks Sayed what happened at the dice game. He says he doesn't shoot dice. So they let Sayed know he's lying. Sayed says he's getting aggravated and frustrated and he wants a lawyer. So they end that interview, arrest Sayed and Raheem on a parole violation. They don't have enough to charge them yet in Wee Wee case. Then they get a call that J. Marcus is being removed from support today. Then a possible witness comes forward. She states that Courtney hit Mark with the oo-wop. Rogers asks her, how do you know that information? She says everybody in the neighborhood knows. Rogers say, but how can I prove it? She said a smoker overheard Courtney talking about hitting Mark after they learned Wee Wee was hit. Courtney said all Wee Wee did was supply him with the oo-wop. So she also gives them Courtney contact information. They wrap that up, punch Courtney's name into the computer. He's 28 years old, has prior convictions for hitting a house and distribution. He also has an active parole violation warrant. So now they request the phone records for Courtney. When they come back, they see Courtney was in the area of both incidents. So they set out to get Courtney. They get a tip where he's located, hit the hotel room he's in, and bring Courtney down to the station for interviewing.
So I want to talk to you about somebody I know was close to you.
Do I carry a week?
Yeah.
Yeah. From what the streets saying, it says you can hit bro.
So they asked him, did the streets also say why they did it? He said he just happened to hear about a dice game in the campgrounds. He said he was there. Kerry Wheat was behind him. He stated Kerry pulled out. 2 guys came from the field and let the oo-wop loose. So they asked him, where did he go after that? He said he went and picked his girl up from her job. He said he had to call her when he arrived. So they asked, what phone number did you call from? Is it the one that you have now? He said, no, I had another phone. Gave detectives that number, and that's the number that hit on the cell towers near the incident. Then he asked for a lawyer. So they wrapped that interview up. Charged Courtney with the M of J. Marcus. So days go by. A witness come down saying she has information about Kerry. She starts by saying she was in the backyard. LeCedric come outside, fall to the ground, and says, bruh, you gone, but I handled that for you. The detectives say, how do you know he's talking about Wee Wee? She said he told a family member, and that family member takes all their clothes, burns them, and then have them take a bleach bath. So they wrap that interview up with her. Make a call to see if they have enough now to get M warrants for LeCedric and Raheem. They get the warrants. Raheem was charged with M, currently awaiting trial. LeCedric was charged with M and is currently awaiting trial. 3 years after Kerry's brother Cornelius was hit with the oo-wop, while sitting with his brother, he was hit multiple times with the oo-wop at an intersection. They say after leaving a dice game. No one has been charged in that case, and as of 2021, Raheem and LeCedric are still out on bond. Thank you for watching. Leave me some comments. Hit that like button. Stay safe out there. I'm done talking.
You look back and kind of see the carnage of these 2 cases and all the players involved, whether it's the law in their own hands, there's vigilante justice over a dice game.